Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Claudette and I am your Jamaican gypsy granny. Coming off of a really bad experience on my journey to Mexico, which I'm going to tell you about in a minute. So, welcome, and if you are not already a subscriber, please just hit that subscribe button and help me. And if you feel motivated, if you don't want to do it now and you feel motivated after the story to, help me out here, please go ahead, hit that subscribe button and be sure to ring that notification bell so you get notified each time I post a video. Anyway, into the meat of the matter. Now, as some of you may know, who have been traveling, following me on this channel already, I lived in Mexico for a while. I came back to Jamaica because I had cataracts and I need to take care of that problem. I ended up spending a whole year here, and almost a year to the day, I decided to return to Mexico. Now, here am I happily, merrily telling everybody, oh, I'm going home, because by now I had started considering Mexico, I'm sorry, my home. This video will be unedited, so just please bear with me with all the mistakes. Anyway, so here am I, now happy to be returning home, reuniting with my daughter, who is a resident of Mexico, and start my journey of building my channel. I left Jamaica on a 5:30 flight on Arajet, and that flight took me to the Dominican Republic, where I had a 9-hour layover. Okay, so for 9 hours I was sleeping on the airport benches. Now, as you may know, nowadays they set the benches up in a way where these metal prongs stick out. You can't really sleep comfortably. I wasn't about to get down on the floor. I did not get I did not get much sleep because I was up all night. And eventually we got on the flight and landed in Dominican Republic at about 7:30. Yeah, 7:30. No, while in the Dominican Republic, as I said, it's nine hours. Get on the flight to Cancun. Now, I was at the beginning of the line in Cancun. I'm like, yay, I'm going to get through quick and I can go through. So I approached the immigration officer. He asks me, what am I doing in Mexico? I'm like, I'm on vacation and I'm going to visit my daughter. He says, okay, you have a relative here? I said, yes. Is she a resident? I said, yes. He said, okay, well, we need to see her residency card. So I got on the phone, I called my daughter, she took a picture of her residency card and sent it to them. He says, okay, so now that we have the residency card, we will need an invitation letter. I'm like, do I need an invite to visit? Anyway, she wrote the letter and she sent it on over. Next, he asked, do you have an onward ticket? No, my ticket said I was going to Panama because it was my birthday. This trip was kind of celebrating my birthday, and I had planned to go to Panama, spend some time there, which is a country I've visited many times, and then just go wherever the whim takes me, So I just booked the ticket to Panama. They said, no, this is not valid because you're not going straight home. You need to have a ticket returning you to your home. I'm like, but why do I need that? Once I'm out of your country, you're no longer responsible for me. Anyway, I said, all right, my daughter, they need a ticket back to Jamaica. Please send me a ticket back to Jamaica. She canceled the Panama ticket and booked me a ticket straight home, back on Arajet, going through the Dominican Republic. The lady looks at it and says, okay, so we see the ticket, but the ticket isn't paid for. It needs to be paid for. I'm like, but it is paid for on a credit card. So they're saying the payment hasn't gone through yet, but your reservation is complete. Don't worry about it. We got you. No, the ticket has to be paid for. So he goes around to the back after having gone around there 3 times and comes back with a lady who takes my phone, takes my passport and says, follow me. So I go back with her to a room, and when I go around there were so many people in the room. There were people from all over the country. I didn't bother to get where they were from, but I knew there were people from Colombia, there was a lady from Panama, and various other people, and about 30 Jamaicans. So I'm sitting there. Now I noticed that all of the people in the room have a clipboard with a paper on there filling out. They did not give me any. Nobody said anything to me. I did not know what was happening. So I asked them, can somebody please just let me know what is happening here? Sit down. So I have a seat. I'm sitting there from 8:30 in the morning. By about 2 o'clock, no one has still attended to me. So I go to them and I said, listen, would somebody just please give me the courtesy of letting me know what is going on here? I don't know what's going on. Oh, ma'am, you're waiting for a second interview. If you want me to take you off of it, that's fine. Ooh, okay. So I said, okay, no problem, ma'am. And I go to sit down. Now, while I was there were some people who needed help, and it kind of, because I have lived for so long in Mexico and in so many other Spanish speaking countries, it's automatic for me when I hear them speaking in Spanish to just respond likewise. So people are asking me to help them with translation and stuff. So I was doing that, being my busybody self. And you know, I sat there, waited. I did my interview, and somebody says to me, "Yeah, you're gonna be okay. We're gonna let you in." Now there was another lady sitting in the corner, going, doing some internet research. I don't know what it is she found about me, but at this point I saw her show the phone to a lady, and they shook their head. And at this point they said to me, "Oh, you're not going home. You're going back to Jamaica." I said, "Why?" There was no explanation. Now, let me pivot here and say that they had signs on their wall that says that if you're being taken into this room for immigration purposes, you have rights. You have a right to contact your embassy. You have a right for your airline, if you're being put in a place overnight, to put you up, and you have a right to be fed. And you're also supposed to get copies of whatever documentation, whatever process they're doing, whatever it is they decide to do with you. They're supposed to give you a documentation saying what it is and why it's happening. None of this happened. Okay, so I'm trying to ask this gentleman. Now, my Spanish sometimes, when I'm getting into technical stuff, I cannot communicate. So I tried speaking to him in English. This man turns to me and says, "Spanish, we speak Spanish here. This is Mexico. This is my country. Speak to me in Spanish." We don't speak English. I'm like, "But I'm not Mexican. I'm a visitor." "No, this is Mexico. Speak Spanish." So I just let it go, and I had my seat, and they decided to give me my 5-minute phone call. So they handed me my phone, and by this time I had been disconnected from the airport Wi-Fi. So I said to him, "You've started my 5 minutes, but I'm not connected to the Wi-Fi to be able to connect with my daughter. Can you please give me a few minutes so I can connect? That is not my problem. Your 5 minutes has started and you ends at 5 minutes." So I hurriedly had to tell my daughter, who had not heard from me all day. I mean, she knew when I landed, and this was like several hours later, at least 8 hours later. She's just now hearing from me, just to hear that I'm in detention. They've taken my passport, they're taking my phone, and they're sending me back home. And by the time I could get that out to her, they're like, "Okay, your 5 minutes are up," and they grabbed my phone out of my hand. All right, so they escort me and, some of the other people who were going back home through the airport. There was a policeman in front, there's a policeman behind, and one in the midst of us, filing us through the airport like criminals, while everybody who was standing there getting ready to go was looking at us. People were laughing, people were taking videos, because I guess they figured what was going on. So they took us around to this room, right? Now, when we got to the room, I could see through the window. They have it set so you can't see much, but I can see through the room. So I said, "Is this where we're staying?" They said, "Yes." I said, "Are there beds inside for us to sleep on?" He said, "Yes, there are beds inside. But whoever had their hand luggage with them had to leave it outside, so we couldn't take anything into the room with us." So now we're in the room, no telephone, no communication, just in the room. When I went into the room, I don't know if any of you ever watched a prison documentary, but if you've seen those little sponges wrapped in blue vinyl that they give the prisoners to sleep on, there were tons of there were tons of them all over that room, and you were supposed to sleep on these on the floor. We had no sheets to put on them, no blankets, no covers, and this place was frigid. I was freezing. And so they had us in there. I think we got around there about 8 o'clock, and our next flight out would be 3:30 the next day. Now, the airline is responsible for feeding us, of course, so they come around and they call out, "Alert, passengers, food, food, food." And we had to rush over, and they called us by our name. The first thing they gave us was, I think I have a picture of it. I'll probably put it up there. These Spanish breads that they have in Mexico that can be very dry if not prepared properly. So it was very dry and tough. You had to pull it like a to get a bit off. It was so dry and tough I mean, you know, and all that was in it was one slice or maybe two thin slices of deli meat, two thin, very thin slices of cheese. They gave us little mayo packets to put in there, and that was it. With a small bottle of kids juice, it said kids juice on it, kids with apple flavor, and a small bottle of water. That was our dinner. And you know, others say they weren't eating. I'm like, you know what? I've been in this situation before, which if you want to hear about my other experiences like this, you gotta have to follow the channel. But anyway, so I ate it. I lay there now, I couldn't sleep. I was up, I was lie down and sleep for 10 minutes, up. And now in talking to a lot of the people now, when we got there were 22 Jamaicans who came off of my flight. There were some people from Colombia, there were some people from Panama. There was a couple who I'm not sure where they're from. Her accent sounded African, but I knew she was French. They were there for 6 days. They had not received a phone call. There are people from Bulgaria, people from Turkey, yeah, and somebody from the Dominican Republic. There are some other white people in the room that they didn't speak to us. I don't know where they came from, and they left pretty quickly. However, so this is where we slept. At 3:30 the next, well, we got breakfast the next day and blah blah blah. It's the same thing, the same tough bread and thing they gave us to eat. Um, the children, I felt it for the children. There were babies, tiny babies, 2-year-old babies, curled up with their mom and dad, auntie, uncle, families, sleeping on these thin mattresses on the floor. So the next day, they come for us. It's time for a flight. The 22 of us had to go in single file as again and be escorted through the airport by police officers. Now, while they're escorting us out, you have people, I don't know whether they're boarding, they're going, or they're coming, but there are multiple people in lines. And we're walking through with one policeman at the front. By this time, they had two in the middle because it's now 22 of us. So they had two in the middle and one in the back. So it is obvious that there's something wrong going on. They escort us through the airport like this, and like single file, people staring at us, people laughing, people taking pictures, people, whatever. And so they took us down, put us on the flight, and sent us to Punta Cana in the Dominican Republic. On arrival in Punta Cana, when we were going to the Punta Cana, they gave us our phones back, right? But they still held on to our passport. So, of course, everybody started making their calls and stuff. They gave it to us just before we boarded the flight. Once we get on the flight, they give us a seat. All of us had B ticket, the middle seats. So they put us all there, and then once we get to the Dominican Republic, the pilot announces, "Passengers from Jamaica, please remain seated." So everybody else got off, and we sat there, and then when we come off, there's a whole host of policemen waiting to escort us back into the airport. So we go single file again through the airport, and just thinking about it. Through the airport with people staring at us, wondering what crime we committed to be treated this way, and people taking videos and stuff. They escorted us to a little room. Now this little room, I'm sure it could not have been bigger than 10 by 10 feet, if that big, with some plastic chairs for us to sit on. And we were told, now we arrived in Punta Cana at about 7:30. So these flights are, pretty much all the same time, 7:30. And we were told that our flight out of there would be 3:30 the next day. So I said to the man, because they spoke better English here. So I said to him, listen, there are 22 of us in here. There are children in here. Are we expected to stay in this room from 7:30 today until 3:30 the next day while we wait on a flight? This is against human rights. And these guys were a lot nicer. I'm going to tell you, they treated us much better there. They said, okay, just give us a minute. We'll try to sort it out. We'll try to get your airline to bring you some food and stuff. So we sat there for a while. The airline brought us food, which was, again, this time it was just white bread, regular white bread with deli meat and cheese and the little packets of mayonnaise. And the same, well, I think it was a different drink, but it didn't taste much better. And we were then escorted, because they were kind to us, as I said. We were escorted to an in-transit lounge where there were no mattresses, nothing. It was just the same airport benches that had the metal pieces in between. So we stayed there until it was time for a flight. Now, as I said, these people were much kinder to us. There were a few smokers in the group, and of course, me speaking Spanish, I translated. We smoke. Can you help us out? And they said, okay, give us until 1 o'clock when the airport smoking lounge closes. They took us up there, and we could have our cigarettes and relax. And they treated us much better. And so when it was time for us to leave, they says, okay, so now you're in Punta Cana, but we're going to send you to Santo Domingo airport. So they file us out, single file, gave us our luggage, and put us on this bus, which I have video of that bus. I will try to put it in somewhere, and take us to Santo Domingo. Now, Santo Domingo, we didn't have to stay for very long. Our flight, by the time we got checked in and things worked out, we went straight to our flight, walking again, through the airport, single file, being escorted by police. And they put us to sit down. Now, while sitting there was a gentleman that was videoing us. Now, these guys didn't know how well I spoke Spanish. So I was sitting close enough to him to overhear one of the policemen telling them, oh, these are Jamaicans. They were denied entry into Mexico, so we're sending them back home. And there's this guy videoing us and taking notes. I managed to sneak a video of him, because if they had caught me doing that, I would have been in trouble. And let me segue into another incident where a man on the bus who got tired of them videoing us tried to video one of the immigration officers. The policeman came up and said, give me your phone, give me your phone. And he's like, why? Of course, we Jamaican, well, not me, but the Jamaicans on the bus, the rest of us started getting angry. Oh, you're taking videos of us, why can't we video you? And the guy was like, give me your phone. So I'm saying to the guy, listen, we're almost at the end of this journey. Just give him the phone, allow him to delete the photo, and let's not cause any problems. He was still resisting, and they were getting ready to put him in handcuffs. I'm like, you're now getting ready to go to Jamaica. Do you want to spend the night here in Santo Domingo in jail? Give him the phone. So he gave him the phone, and they deleted the photo, handed it to the escort who was going with us, and anyway, the long and short of it is we got home, escorted by Jamaican police through the airport here. We had to fill out our criminal paperwork, and yeah, I made it home. Of course, I made it home in the eye of Raphael. The rain was falling, and my daughter was able to send an Uber to pick me up. This was night now. Another thing I forgot to mention. What was it? Well, there's just so much going on. But the treatment was horrible. They spoke to us horribly. But there's another major incident that happened. Let me pause and see if I can remember and try follow up this video.